So, hello then. Welcome back to another Night of the Movies podcast. I'm Spy Knight, and in these podcasts, I love talking all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm reviewing the new vampire film, Sinners. So, let's get into it, shall we? Sinners, as I just said, is this new vampire film, that's what you heard me correctly, vampire film directed by Ryan Coogler. If you don't know who Ryan Coogler is, if you don't recognise the name Ryan Coogler straight away, well, you might be interested to know that he has directed the likes of Creed, which might be the best Rocky film. The more I think about Creed, the more it grows on me. I mean, I really liked it the first time I saw it, but, you know, my liking of it has somehow increased since I first saw it. And, yeah, I'm thinking about rewatching that one again soon. So, yeah, he directed the first Creed. He also directed Fruitvale Station, which is a remarkable directorial debut, if you ask me. And he directed the two Black Panther films. Now, neither of those films are really for me. I mean, I don't hate either of those movies. They're just not for me. You know, some films are made that are not going to be for me, and that's totally fine. And the Black Panther films aren't really for me, but you can appreciate that they were cultural phenomenons, particularly the first film, and I really love how people responded to the first Black Panther film. Again, it wasn't for me, but I love that it was for so many people. So Ryan Coogler is a very interesting director, and this is his latest film since Black Panther Wakanda Forever, aka Black Panther 2. Although I didn't really like Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it was one of the better superhero movies to come out post-pandemic, post-COVID. And I was really interested and excited to see what he was going to do with an original idea that was away from the superhero genre, because I really enjoyed his, his takes in the superhero genre, and I've enjoyed more of his work outside of the superhero genre. And I thought this was going to be quite something, because this is his first original film. Well, technically this is his first original film. I mean, you could argue Creed is an original film, but it's also based around an IP. It's a spin-off from the Rocky franchise, I've got my t-shirt right now. You can argue this is his first original film, and that excited me. However, I wish I was more excited. I wish I was more excited going into the cinema to watch this film yesterday, because the trailers did not do it for me. I didn't mind the first trailer, but I think what happened with me in the trailers for this movie is I'd been exposed to them too much. I kept seeing the trailer for this film over and over and over again every single time I go to cinema, and I go to cinema quite a lot. I go to cinema weekly, if not weekly, then every other week at the very least. I go to cinema all the time. Perhaps it's my own fault for going to cinema too often, but I just kept seeing the trailer for this film, and it got to a point where I was like, whenever the trailer for this film would come on in the cinema, I would get my phone out and just look at my phone instead, because the trailer, I'd seen it that many times, didn't have any effect on me at all. And the latest trailer for this film I saw in the cinema about a week or two ago now, and that latest trailer, the last trailer that released for this film, showed way too much, especially after I'd seen the film. It showed way too much about what actually happened to the movie, giving away way too many details that I wish weren't given away prior to me seeing the film. But I was excited about seeing it, as I've already said, because it's a new Ryan Coogler film. And apart from the Black Panther films, I really enjoyed what he's done. I mean, I don't hate the Black Panther films, they're just not really for me. Although I do think they're well made, and I think what he's done outside of the superhero genre, though, is even better. I think Creed is a remarkable film, as do I think that about Fruitvale Station as well. So I was very interested. I was about to say I was very excited. I wasn't very excited, but I was interested and getting hopeful about this film, particularly since its premiere and since it's been released about a week ago now, since released last Friday. People have been raving about this film. Some people have been making it out as if it's like the second coming, There's people already calling this film Best Picture worthy. And whenever somebody calls a film Best Picture worthy, even though I don't really have that much interest in the Oscars anymore, I immediately get interested, because it creates a certain expectation when you go and watch the film at the cinema. And so, hearing that this film was Best Picture worthy, I went into the cinema yesterday with a certain level of expectation. And maybe that was to my detriment, but I'll go into that a bit later in this review. But anyway, the Google plot synopsis of this film goes as follows. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers, both played by Michael B. Jordan, return to their Mississippi hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. And that's actually a really good plot synopsis for what this film is without giving anything away. That's probably all you need to know. If that's all you knew before seeing the film, and you hadn't watched the trailers, I think you'd have a much better time than I did watching the film. That's not to say that I didn't have a good time watching the film, because honestly, I really liked this film. There was so much about it which I admired. I thought it was a great viewing experience in the cinema. The performances, yeah, I'm going to say the performances, even so it's played by the same actor, but the performances from Michael B. Jordan are stellar. This is the best I've seen Michael B. Jordan. He's a pretty damn good actor, but I thought he did a remarkable job playing two different characters that looked the same, because at no one point in the film I was thinking, yeah, I can't tell which twin brother is which. You know, there was no point when I was confused about which twin brother I was watching, and I think that's down to the writing, but also down to Michael B. Jordan's performance and how he plays these two twin brothers. Michael B. Jordan is brilliant in the film, as is Haley Stanfield, and as are all the performances. There's no one bad performance in the film. I totally bought into everybody playing the parts they were playing. I thought the production design and the production that went into this film was brilliant. You know, the craftsmanship that went into this movie, you can see on screen, and I mean that in the best way possible. I love when you can see how much money has been spent on a movie when you're watching it. I just love that about films, and you can tell that a lot of money being put into this film. I don't think that much money. I think it's only got like a $90 million budget, which, considering, you know, if you look at a lot of the other budgets for movies nowadays, isn't actually that big when you compare it alongside other movies that come out. So yeah, I don't think it's actually that much of a budget, but it feels grand. You know, the budget feels grand when you're watching the film, and I like when you get that from a movie. I love this film's originality. I love this film's use of music. The music was scored by Ludwig Göransson, who's worked with Ryan Coogler and all these previous movies. Does a really fantastic job with the musical score. But also, I love how the musical score is a character in this film. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. I love how the musical score becomes integral to the film. It's one of those, I mean, it's not just the musical score, it's the music in itself. I won't class it just as a musical score, but just the way music's used in this film almost becomes a character. It's like the music in Jaws. If you take the music out of Jaws, it's not the same film. It's a completely different film, and you can argue the same about this movie. You can make a very strong argument, as I am making today, that if you take the music out of Sinners, then it would be a completely different movie, and a movie that's not nearly as good. And the music in this film, and the use of music, and the way it's interweaved into the narrative is, it's incredible. And there was so much that I admired about the film. It's a horror film that actually got under my skin. It made me feel unnerved, you know, in the way that all good horror movies should. I mean, this film has good jump scares in there, but I've spoken about this on this channel in the past. Jump scares for me feel cheap. They elicit an emotion for like 10 seconds at the most. But I like it when a horror movie full-on gets under your skin, and that's what this movie did. And you know what? The jump scares I thought were earned as well. Sometimes you get jump scares in movies which come out of nowhere. No, the jump scares in this film are fantastic. And again, so much that I liked about it. I thought it was well written, I thought the characters were great, and I had a really great viewing experience watching this film. However, I did not love the film, and I don't think it's quite as good as some people are making out to be. Like I said earlier on this review, some people are making out as if this is a best picture worthy film, and I'm not going to say it's not going to be nominated for best picture, because I think so far this year, bear my money in April, but I do think so far this year this is probably the best movie that's come out, or one of the best movies anyway. But we've still got a lot left before the Oscars next year, so I don't think it's going to be a film which ends up getting nominated for Best Picture. And I'd be very surprised if it did. Again, I don't think the film is bad. Don't misread what I'm about to say about the film. Don't misread it at all, because I did really like the film, but I just didn't love it. And the reason I didn't love, well, there's three main reasons I didn't love this film. Reason number one is it didn't grab me straight away. It took a while to get going. It felt the first hour of the film was doing a lot of setup, and granted the setup paid off, but I felt that the first hour could have been tighter, and I wish that it grabbed me. I wish it engaged me straight off the bat. You know, it wasn't until about half an hour to 45 minutes into the film when I actually really got into it, and I wanted to get into it straight away. And the second main reason that I didn't love this film is because in the liminal section of the film, in the middle section of the film, it became a tad messy. There were sections where it felt like we were building up to something about to happen, and then the film would slow down again. I was like, oh, it felt like you're building to something, and then like you're going back on that build-up. Why? The film did feel messy in the middle, and I do feel like it slightly lost its way. I think the third act was incredible, but I don't think the second act was quite as good as it could have been if it was more polished. The film didn't feel quite as polished as I was hoping it would, considering all the great reviews it's been getting. And I should probably stop reading reviews, because they do affect your view of a film. I know some people say, oh, I read reviews and it doesn't affect my view of the film, and I've said that on this channel in the past, but I do think that's the case. I think you read a review of a movie, whether it's good or bad, and it can affect your viewing of the film. You know, and I think because I read so many great reviews of this film before I saw it, I was subconsciously, well, not subconsciously actually, because I kind of realised I was doing it, but I think when I was watching the film in the cinema yesterday, I was trying to criticise it because I read so many great reviews, and I didn't like that about it. So I'm going to stop reading, and that's my own fault with this film. That's not a fault with this film at all, but when people have been hyping up a movie so much, it's just something that happens with me. I go to the cinema to see it, and I try to find problems with it. I wonder if that was what was happening yesterday when I was watching the film in the cinema. But still, nevertheless, I would be lying if I said that I didn't feel like the liminal section of the film, the middle part of the film, was as polished as it could have been, and it did feel messy to me. And my third main problem with this film is that the very beginning of the film spoils something later on in the film, to the point that I knew, and I'm trying to not give away spoilers here in case people haven't seen the movie yet, but I knew something wasn't going to happen towards the end of the film because of the beginning of the film. I think if you've seen the film, you might know what I'm talking about, but you might not at the same time. You know, I was sat there watching the end, and I was thinking, well, I know nothing happens here. Well, not the end of the film, but I was sat there watching the big climax in the film, thinking, I know nothing happens here because of the way the film opened, and I wish I didn't know that. Sometimes I like when a movie kind of opens with the ending, if you know what I mean, but here I don't think it worked in the film's favour, and I would have preferred it if the beginning of the film didn't reveal that thing, didn't reveal about a certain character later on in the film without going into too many details. It kind of reveals a certain character's fate, and so it made the climax of the film less suspenseful, because I was like, well, I know this character gets away, you know, again, without trying to go into too many details there, but if you've seen the film, hopefully you understand what I'm getting at. So, in conclusion, I, again, really liked this film. I'm not saying it's a bad film. I get why it's getting all this hype. I just don't agree with the amount of hype it's been getting. I don't think it's Best Picture worthy. I don't think it's quite the amazing film that some people are making out to be. But it is a exquisitely and beautifully crafted film from Ryan Coogler. You can tell at this point in Ryan Coogler's filmmaking career that he is an experienced and confident director, far more confident than he was early on in his career. Saying that, though, there were some pretty amazingly crafted shots in the first Creed movie, but in this film it really feels like he's telling the story he wants to tell. He's a visionary director, and you can tell that when you're watching the film. The performances, again, are all stellar. I forgot what the kid's name is now, but the kid in the film, I forgot his name is. He's great. The one who plays the banjo, really good in the film, and I don't think I've seen him in anything else. I think this is his debut, because in the credits it said, and introducing such and such a body, I can't remember his name, as this person. I thought he was, great in the film. I thought the production value was... I loved how you could see the production value when you watched the film. You know, I love how you can tell when you're watching the film how much money was spent on it. I loved its originality. I loved its use of music. There was so much that I truly admired about the film. And for a horror movie, it did get under my skin. But it didn't grab me straight away. And I felt that it wasn't as polished as it could have been. And I did feel that the beginning of the film spoiled something for later on in the film, and I didn't like that about it. I wish that wasn't the case. And one last thing, it did also lean a bit on the silly side at one point for me. I mean, it is a vampire film at the end of the day, so it is going to be a little silly, because vampires aren't real. But at one point I was thinking, maybe didn't need to do that way. But again, I really liked it. It is a really enjoyable film to watch. And I came out with it thinking, you know what? That was quite something watching in the cinema. And I haven't really felt that about any other movie I've seen in the cinema over the past, I haven't really felt that about many movies that I watched in 2025. So, yeah, big thumbs up for me with this film. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Sinners, I'm going to say that it's an 8 out of 10. I'm giving it a rating. Usually I give films an 8 out of 10 if I love them. And I didn't love this film, but there's so much I admired about it that I couldn't give it lower than an 8 out of 10. That just wouldn't be fair. This shows how this film really, to me, represented the power of Ryan Coogler as a director. I don't think it's his best movie, but I want to see him make more films like this. Because, listen, at the end of the day, and I'm surprised I haven't said this yet, this is an ambitious film, for better and for worse. This is an ambitious film that's trying to do so much, and I do feel it's trying to do a little too much. I feel if it's scaled down a bit, then it would have been a better movie, and if it was a bit polished as well, but I don't think it was as well polished as it could have been, because there is so much going on there. And I think Ryan Coogler does a great job of balancing everything, but I think it's, like I said before, an ambitious movie for better and for worse. However, I would rather a film director, rather a filmmaker be ambitious and it falls a little bit short than not be ambitious and you come away from the film thinking, okay, that was alright, but I didn't need to see it. And this is one of those films which I do think you need to check out at least once in your lifetime. And, you know, there's not many films I say that about, and I do feel like this is an ambitious film, and I like that about it. Not everything paid off in my opinion, but I want Ryan Coogler to make more films like this, which are ambitious and, you know, are quite something to watch in the cinema. And that's why I really admired it in the long run, because of its ambition and because of the great, and I mean great, viewing experience I had with this movie. Again, I don't love it, but I do think it's pretty damn good. And so, all in all, as I've already said, and as I'm going to say once more in this podcast today, Sinners is an 8 out of 10 from me. Anyway, guys, that's it for today's podcast. If you have seen Sinners, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching or listening to this podcast. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video. And look forward to many more videos and many more podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. As I've already said, thank you for watching or listening to this podcast, and I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.